So until this point, we've gone through 10 different stages of how the Yatzer operates. You want to put it on? Okay. So until this point, we've gone through 10 different levels of how the Yatzer works to try to get you to succumb to certain questions, create doubt in your mind, different philosophical types of issues. But interestingly, he didn't really make this point earlier, but he makes it very clear now, because we're not done with the Yatzer. We're still in the middle of all of his shenanigans, all of his arguments, and all of his deceptions. All of these examples that I've just brought from the first part of the different types of strategies of the Yatzer, I've shown the doubts that he's able to bring into the heart of a person. These work for those people who are not extremely well versed in the knowledge of God and in His Torah. So basically, these were sort of the first line attacks for the weak-minded and for those who are not sophisticated spiritually. But to an individual who has an understanding of the greatness of Hashem and His Torah, the Yatzer works very hard to destroy his emunah and to confuse his and to distort his wisdom. Vesmaisav in his actions. In what way? What's the mechanism which Yatzer is going to use for this kind of individual? From all types of questions and proofs, wherever he might be able to find it, from an intellectually philosophical source, from the written Torah, and from the oral tradition. And this is, we see many people who, if they're not clear enough, they're not strong enough, they're not deep enough, that a little bit of information will lead them to questions. So they know the Torah, they know, some level of knowledge they have. They're not complete novices, but that little amount of knowledge, in a way, really becomes a stumbling block for them to trip in that very knowledge and to succumb to that very knowledge and allow it to sort of distort their views. And unfortunately, we see this. We see people writing articles based on their understanding of Torah that take you completely off the beaten path and end up in no man's land spiritually, attitudes and the positions in the Torah that have no basis in Allah and in Torah, and it got there through people who think they know, but they've been so mixed up by the Yatzer sort of grabbing hold of them and confusing them that it leads them to terrible places.
Isn't there some saying, a little knowledge is a dangerous thing? Or something like that, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Little knowledge can be dangerous.
That's
right.
Something like that.
Yeah, yes. No, I think you hit it exactly right. Right. He says, V'akol davar shehu melamed oso, hu mevi lo kilu choteches. Yatzer, everything that he teaches him, he brings to him as if it's an absolute proof to a position he wants him to accept. In other words, so it can sound pretty compelling. The arguments and the confusion can be pretty, seem pretty impressive. It can seem very persuasive, and it can lure this individual into really a very dangerous place. And it comes, of course, very clear. There are these proofs that from the very beginning, from the outset, from the first glance, so to speak, person could literally be very much convinced by them. But after further analysis and further understanding of what exactly really this argument is, he will recognize this is not right. This is not true. And it's absolutely, there's no proof to arrive at the conclusion that the Yatzer wants you to arrive at. It reminds me of the people who are, they come knocking on your doors, with those little pamphlets every once in a while. And there are people who, they're pretty good Jews and they're sincere people, and yet they don't have enough foundation. They know about Torah. They know they follow mitzvos, but a little bit of question. Well, Isaiah this, and you quote Jeremiah that, and it says this expression, it says God's son, and all these types of things. And all of a sudden, before you know it, like there's a little bit of stuff, and you become so discombobulated. Says it sounds like it sounds right. Maybe I should be God forbid Christian. It doesn't take that much to move people and to confuse people, and very often you can and people who are just not very steeped in it, they go to an argument, they go to a lecture, they hear proofs, becomes very clear in their minds. Next week, they come back from the Shabbos table. I met this Baal Bus, he asked me a bunch of questions. I couldn't tell if I was coming or going, and I'm all confused. That's the way we are sometimes. If we're not very, very entrenched, then these arguments, and these are all Yatzer. Yatzer could be, in the form of somebody across the table from you. It could be somebody who knocks on your door as a missionary, or it could be your own thoughts and your own ideas. But very often it presents itself from the outside, but the Yatzer uses these arguments to get into our wavelength, and if we're not careful, he could be successful. So we have to be very careful that somebody who's not very strong, but who is somewhat knowledgeable, and he's a thoughtful person religiously, in a way he might be even more susceptible. And he's going to say something very fascinating. When the Yatzer comes with these types of seductive arguments, if your thought is very clear, you're rock solid, and if you are sort of trained and ready to truly analyze very, very clearly at the time of the argument, all of the different nuances and all the different opinions are back and forth, and you're able to really debate. You've got, Ben Shapiro type clarity about an issue. When this guy discusses an issue, he's got, it's as clear as day. He's got all of it lined up, right? And when you see, Rabbi Kellerman, discussing an issue, and he's gone, he's spoken at hundreds of universities about, the comparative religions. There's a man who's steeped in clarity. Okay, if you have that kind of ability, as tirakates ato Yitzchak Chabar Yosef v'hochachosav hachotchos, you're able to see very clearly how the Yatzer is deceptive. Right, so somebody will read an article and and get all discombobulated. Oh my gosh, it seems like very. And he'll show it to a rabbi who really knows what he's going, and the rabbi will. There are 10 points here that you can see if you stop and analyze what he's saying. This is wrong. That doesn't make any sense. This is contradicting himself. You'd be able to make it clear to the individual, but you have to have that kind of clarity. It'll become clear. The proper hashkafa will be very clear in your mind. And the proper path will be revealed to you. That clarity, that intellect, that strength of your knowledge will spare you from doubts and will make sure your actions don't end up getting distorted and messed up. You'll stay on the straight, and narrow path of proper performance. Aval, and here's the big aval, but if you're not equipped to recognize the fallacies of the Yatzer's arguments, you're not equipped to deal with these Seventh-day Adventists or these conservadox ridiculous articles about Yaakov Avinu being this and Yosef being that, and this one's on an ego trip, and this one's got all these crazy mamash. They come up with these ridiculous ideas just to almost say they have an obligation to sound radical. That's their obligation. So when you start with that premise, I need to come up with something radical in this article. So let me try this, and then you promote that. But you know what? They can be pretty persuasive sometimes if you're not careful. You can fall into these traps. So if you're not strong in that regard, you can be susceptible to be seduced in a way that's even stronger, and to overwhelm you even easier, and to rule over you, and to completely surround you, both externally and internally, very, very quickly, and even more quickly. You, in a sense, will be more susceptible and can be more twirled around your finger than the non-intellectually inclined person who's very simple, right? Who was susceptible to the first 10 attacks that we learned about in the last few times that we met. This guy is in more trouble because this guy has an intellectual bent, but he's not sophisticated enough to really see the difference between right and wrong. He's not subtle enough to see the difference between a winning argument and a losing argument. When you hear these liberals, I hate to get political, but you hear these arguments about this and that, and abortion or whatever, immigration, with the border. Yeah, if you're not really sophisticated, it sounds so flowery and so nice. Let them all in and this and that. But you have to have a certain sense of real clarity to be able to deal with that. Just like you need the clarity to be able to answer the Yatzer when it's trying to get you to fall into a spiritual trap. So because you are intellectually inclined, you will allow your mind to dictate to you the direction you're going to go in. Like a very simple person doesn't know too much, and I just know this is who I am. I follow the Torah, and that's it. But somebody's who's more sophisticated, but just not sophisticated enough, he considers himself to be, an intelligent person. So my intelligence tells me it's a nice argument. He's making a good point. Maybe the rabbis really don't know what they were doing. Maybe this mitzvah isn't, what it seems to be. See, you're being led by your intellect, but your intellect unfortunately isn't strong enough to lead you. And then you could be in a lot of trouble. And in more trouble than the simple one was in the first set of circumstances. And the reason why this is the case, because these arguments are coming at you from an intellectual point. And it leads you convincing, sharp arguments. You're intellectual. You like it. They seem intellectually appealing to you. And therefore, when the Yatzer is successful in getting you to fall for these arguments and to get your mind in a distorted position, it's not just that your intellect will send you, on the wrong direction and not take you back in the derech hayashar, because in a sense we're relying on our minds, but if our minds are not sharp enough, then what's going to happen is the outside argument is going to allow us to buy into something that's distorted. Okay, we will not have the strength to be able to fight back. Okay, so not only will our old intellect, in a sense, not be strong enough to be able to overcome this new argument. The Yatzer will use it and use your intellect now as almost like an ally to gang up on you and to sort of convince you that everything that you've been doing is wrong. What was I thinking? And why was I being duped? This is a newfangled idea. This is a new ism that came up. And this really sounds really good. And why didn't I think of this earlier? And this is right. He's right. Because you are a person who has historically always relied on your intellect. When you have a doubt, you figure it out. When something wasn't very clear to you, you worked on it intellectually, and you came to a clear decision. So now, since you're a person who historically has followed what their minds tell them, and this is, it's very dangerous. Like a little bit of, like you said, a little bit of knowledge could be very dangerous. So here's a guy who's really not or woman who's really not as strong as they think they are. They're not as sophisticated as they appear to be, but they walk around thinking that they're intelligent, and they walk around thinking that they have strong intellectual foundations. And if now they see things a certain way, they will very much rely on that perspective. They will not say, "Well, wait a minute, I have a 3,000 year Masorah. I've got a lot smarter and greater people that have done this. Let me maybe go check with them. Let me make an appointment with one of the rabbis in my community. Maybe let me discuss with them." You're not going to go that way. You're not going to have this humility to sort of say, "Well, before I start getting off the rails here, let me get my bearings. And let me talk to some people to get me back on track." You're so used to relying on your intellect, you're just going to continue to rely on it. Was that the door now?
No.
Okay, so
I didn't hear anything.
I guess just okay. Anyway, so that's why in this group of questions and deceptions, this guy in a way is more he's more prone to getting messed over, and he's more prone to falling into the trap of the Yatzer. The simple people. I remember a cute little story. I once heard about a very simple Jew who, these Jews were susceptible to missionaries back in Europe, and there was one Christian that was told that you got to come up with at least one Jew this month. We'll pay you a lot of money. They had like some kind of quota system. So he goes over to, I guess this is the advantage of sometimes being a simple person. So he goes over to the Jew and he says, "Listen, I see you're so poor. You have no money. You're impoverished. I'll tell you what. I'll give you 50 rubles and become a Christian. You'll have money. You'll be able to support your family. So why don't you come over to our side?" He says, "No, it's okay." He says, 100 rubles. Not interested. Listen, you're a junk dealer. You're in total poverty. You have nothing to your name. I'll give you 1,000. I'll just cut to the. I'll give you 1,000 rubles. It's enough money that you never in your life imagined you'd ever have that much money. Just all you got to do is believe. Just believe in Yashkin and 1,000 rubles. Come, He says, "No, I'm not interested. I'm a Jew. I'm not interested in your religion." I have to ask you. I said, you have to explain this to me. You're a simple Jew. You have nothing to your name. I'm offering you wealth, 1,000 rubles. You'll be able to do what you never. Why? Why not? So he answers back. Listen, he says, "You're right. I'm a very simple Jew. I don't really know too much. I know the only thing I do know is junk because I'm a junk dealer. So he says, here's the rule. He says, if somebody has a piece of junk that's pretty good that I could use, I give them a little bit of money for the junk that I take from them. And then I can sell it back. If somebody has like a really, really rotten piece of junk, then he pays me to take it off his hand. He said, if you offer me 1,000 rubles to take this off your hands," he says, yeah. So sometimes simplicity actually, works. If that guy might have been able to get a sharper person, might have been able to fall for it, but not this guy. So
Plain and passionate.
yeah, exactly. Just simple logic. Okay. It's a cute little story. Yeah. So he says like this. He says, "V'kashyatziach hayetzer, v'kashyatziach hayetzer zgaber olecha, v'limshol b'cha, bezras sechlecha v'sio." When this Yatzer is successful in overwhelming you and to rule over you with the help of your intellect, he uses your own intellect to just distort things a little bit and say, "Yeah, this is doesn't make any sense." I have a college professor, and he showed me how the Torah is written by 4 different people, and it couldn't have been written by God. We have all these situations that come up all the time where we could be we're like marshmallows sometimes. We're not as strong as we think we are. That he's basically been able to fool this person with lies and deceitful arguments, and he creates illusions and arguments that seem very convincing. Okay, what can happen to this poor fellow who yapul oscha mi'amadrega shikamat emes v'tama b'ksas sheker? He can take a guy who was before this point essentially truthful, essentially holding on to truth, with a little bit of maybe lack of understanding, a little bit of sheker, a little bit of distortion, but he essentially had Torah in its proper form. Okay, he'll take that person to the level below that, where there is less truth in this person's mindset and more lies, because he's now fallen into this trap. And with this type of methodology, the Yatzer is successful at getting us down from level to level in a literally a free fall, going from step to step, mata mata, lower and lower, till literally this type of philosophical distortion can get this person from what once was way back mostly truth and a little bit of sheker to all sheker, no truth. Shembo kolemes via sheker government, all lies. For Yakar Oschami Ashorish Bal Mazeh, and he will uproot. He can uproot us from the roots of Olam Hazeh, from the being founded and have a foundation in this world. And will lead that person to the level to the point where there'll be nothing left, not even Olam Haba. Well, I'll lose everything. That's how dangerous it is when you start falling into these traps. We see it. We see it very often. And very often, it can be different factors. Sometimes it's, meeting the wrong girl in college, and, and the person going to the wrong college, person never should have gone to a school with all types of, environments that can easily drag a person away. And even though at the root of it seems that it's passion very often, and it's desire to do different things, but more often than not, it gets sort of couched and rooted in a intellectual, philosophical. I have questions. I went to this lecture. I had this professor. I met this person, and they opened up my eyes to the truth, and they asked me questions. I didn't have the answer. They said, I saw where they were coming from, and it very often these horror stories, happen this way. Was that just a person just literally just throwing everything away? It's confusion. It's and it's confusion together with the lust, together with the passion. But it's not just pure. I just want to throw it away because I want to do whatever I want to do. It very often doesn't happen that way.
If we would say to someone, 50 years from now, you're going to matter this, and you're going to say that's fine, and you're not going to be doing this anymore. They would say, no way, there's no way that's going to happen. Who I am, but. Fast forward 50 years, look back, because slowly, as the song goes, slowly over many years, people just stop.
Right, absolutely. That's we see it.
About it tonight.
One thing at a time.
When I was at somebody's house, that there were things that we used to do maybe 20 years ago that we don't do today, and they've been talking 50 years.
I'm saying people giving up Torah, giving up.
No, I'm saying that we were talking tonight about things, how we used to conduct ourselves in certain ways. 20 years ago, people used to do certain things that they just wouldn't do today.
Well, but you're saying that better. You're saying it that.
Yes.
She's saying it in the worst way.
Okay.
You go to the. She's saying it.
You're saying the opposite.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of.
It goes both ways. It can,
It does go both ways.
Yeah, I'm thinking, honestly, let's say of the family. If I would have said to my grandparents or relatives, 50 years from now, you're going to be like that, there's no way, but
right. I mean, you always hear these promises. Don't worry, it's going to be fine. I'm just going to stop learning, but I'm still going to stay religious. And it's unfortunately, when there's a downward spiral, it's
Downward.
Yeah, it really goes bad.
Yeah. Sorry, I misunderstood you.
Yeah, he says. Yeah, right. I'm sorry. Right. He will uproot you from the roots of this world, to the point where you won't have any portion or reward in the next world. To the extent that your wisdom will turn to be for your negative. It'll be your enemy. And your wisdom and your seichel, will be the cause for your loss. You will almost outsmart yourself, and you'll use your mind for distortion and convoluted arguments. Woe to the person who say, for the evil is good, latov ra, and for good is evil. Samim choshech la'or v'or l'chosh. He put darkness for light and light for darkness. Samim mar l'motak and motak l'mar. You place bitterness for sweet and sweet for bitterness. Hoy chachamim beineim. Woe to those people who seem to be wise in their own eyes. And they look at themselves and they say, "Oh, I'm so wise. I'm so intelligent. I'm so deep." Okay, and then it ends up being their downfall. These chachamim, their wisdom becomes their downfall. Right? They use their wisdom for negative things. They become entrapped by the word of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. They become, completely enslaved by what they're doing, and they become, now trapped by their sins to be in a horrible place. They've been repulsed by the words of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. They rejected them. And what is their wisdom? It has caused them nothing but grief and horror, because they were too smug for their own good, and they allowed their wisdom to sort of twist their thoughts. And furthermore, it's a very famous pasuk: Yisharim darchei Hashem. The ways of HaKadosh Baruch Hu are straight. Tzadikim yelchu bam. Righteous people go on that path. Uposhim bikoshim bam. Sinners trip up in that very path. Sinners can use the path of Torah and use it to trip up and come up with all types of arguments. And this is unfortunate. We've seen with the conservative movement. They came up with ideas. Some of them started off sounding very sincere. But if you're willing to come up with an argument that let's matter driving on Shabbos or doing malach on Shabbos to get more people in shul, so it seems like it's a wonderful, I mean, well, I have the well-being of the Jewish people, in my mind. And that's really where my thoughts are. But you know what? You can't turn halacha upside down for whatever long-term goals you might have. It doesn't work that way. And obviously, look at what it led to, and look at how basically they have not a lot of assimilation. And you don't find Reform and conservative Jews third generation. It just doesn't happen. Okay. Ukvar nemar, and it's already been stated, when we use wisdom for its true goal, for its true purpose, to just know, I want to know the Ratzon Hashem. How do I fulfill it? Then it becomes, when you have that perspective, I just want to do the right thing. Just pass it. Please, thank you. Your whole goal is, I just want to do the right thing. And then that becomes a refuah for any sickness. Okay, anything that ails you, you're fine, because the sincerity that you have to do the right thing will be the cure for all your problems. But if you, God forbid, do not use your mind, your intellect, and your perspective for this goal to just do the Ratzon Hashem, you're too smart for your own good. But you rather bring proof to show me this and to show me that, and you're allowed yourself to be seduced by the Yatzer. That becomes a sickness that has no cure, has no medicine. There's nothing you can do for it. Okay, it becomes literally almost like terminal. And that's why the Torah is compared to fire. As a pasuk says, "Hello, kod vari keish." My words are like fire. because fire has these two elements. To those who use the Torah to learn how to fulfill the word of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, with its light, it opens up your eyes. You use the Torah to light the way for you and to guide you in everything that you need to do in life. Like the pasuk in Tehillim says, the mitzvahs of Hashem lighten. They bring, they open up your eyes. They're clear. The mitzvahs of Hashem are clear and pure, and they light up one's eyes. They show the path for one to live. V'nemar neil ragli dvarecha v'orl nesivasi. Another similar pasuk. It's like a lamp unto my feet. Your words are like a lamp to my feet and light to my pathways. But if you use the Torah for deceptive, negative goals, to find loopholes and justifications and rationalizations and all types of distortions, it literally burns up with tremendous fury and fire anybody who tries to do that. The justice of HaKadosh Baruch Hu is with fire. HaKadosh Baruch Hu will rain down on the wicked coals, fiery coals and sulfur. The old Nemar, and furthermore it says, the word of HaKadosh Baruch Hu will be a source of embarrassment for me and shame all the days. Because again, you use it in a distorted fashion. And I said, I will not remember it. I will no longer speak in his name. And once I say that, and I'm not ready to do the right thing, it'll be in my heart like a fire, a burning fire. It'll be closed up in my bones, and it'll end up again destroying that person. So it's the same descriptive power of fire, and it can be used in the most powerful ways of light and strength and glory for a person, or God forbid, it could be the fire that literally consumes them and buries them, where they are. So this is the two-pronged approach or the two ways, the two paths that a person has in front of them. Are they going to use their knowledge to really just answer one question? What does HaKadosh Baruch Hu want from me? If that's the question, then you're not really looking for all types of loopholes and justifications. You're looking for truth. When you're looking for truth, you'll find the truth. But when you're looking for all types of mental gymnastics and ways to argue against the Torah, then you'll find, and you'll sound like a little bit of a tzaddik in doing it, because you want to use your intellectual arguments. But meantime, we know the agenda. The agenda is to destroy. The agenda is to evade that which you really know you need to do. Al Kain. Therefore, now that you have these two paths so clearly set up in front of you, do not let your paths move away and veer away from the paths of your fathers, and from the derech of the path, the direction of the earlier generations. To go after new, and this is written before the reform, before the conservative, but here he is almost predicting. Do not let it go after a new path. Do not let your heart stray after new ideas that are they come up from the heart. They're not rooted in our Masorah. They're not rooted in truth. They're rooted in mental, calculations, and maybe this and maybe that, and all types. And again, maybe they could sound very sincere, but if it's new, and if it's not tried, if it's not true, it's not part of who we are as a people, then it's dangerous. V'zara, be careful. Do not rely on your own intellect. Don't get overly smug with your IQ and your intellect to say you can figure this out. You have to use it to understand. You have to use it to try to know the truth, but you can't use it to try to sort of recreate and refigure what the Torah is all about. Do not just go after your intellect. And don't just value and honor your own mind. Do not be suspicious of the ways of your father who have taught you, your ancestors who have taught you the way that's good for you, and the way that you're going to inherit all that you need to inherit, the way that you're going to gain all. But don't be suspicious of them. That's really what happens, right? You have new ideas. We're young. What do they know? And they're out of touch, and all these types of arguments that will make us feel that we are the new generation. We're the next generation, and we're going to decide the direction we want to go in. Don't fall into that trap. Einam nechonim. They don't say that they're not right. Don't deny and don't conceal the advice that they gave you. They taught you wonderful things. They taught you the right way in life. Right? Don't think for a second that there isn't one thought you came up with your brilliant 110 IQ, with having read all but maybe 2.5 books in your entire life. But no, and I came up, it's what a mechanic's big thing is when he speaks. He says, really, you want to find the truth. So tell me, how many philosophy books have you read? Have you read Spinoza? Have you read Kierkegaard? I mean, I go hear these 16-year-old kids are waxing philosophical, but they don't know anything about philosophy. They just know that they don't want what we want them to have. That much they know. They want to just do whatever they want. But
it's the anti-philosophy.
Exactly. So it's all superficial. It's all a lie. But we fall into this trap. But don't think for a second you're going to come up with a question that's never been asked. It ain't going to happen. Okay? You're very smart. You're a wonderful person. But trust me, between the Rambam and the Rif and the Ravid and the Rosh and the Ravina and Rabbi Kiva and the Gra and everybody else who lived, you think they never thought of your question? You came up with the one question that's never been asked before. Come on. It's been thought of. There's an answer. Relax. Find it. Okay? Nothing wrong with saying, I want to find the answer, but develop that humility, that perspective to not think you're going to, discover America here. V'shlo yivinu. Again, one more time. There's not one idea that's going to come up in your mind that they haven't thought of already. And they've already calculated all the good and the bad that will come out of this argument. So you just see it quickly and you just grab, it looks like a great argument. But to a wise man with a lot of experiences, but you take that argument, this is what's going to happen. This is what's going to ultimately lead, what that argument is going to lead to down the road. And this is why, again, you have a lot of poskim who answer shilas based on that understanding that maybe it might be mutter right now, but I need to say you can't do this because I see where this is going. I see where this might take us, and I can't allow Klal Yisrael to go there. V'kach b'cheshbon, he says, and take this into calculation. Okay, he says, understand, take this into your thought process, that it could be that this is why your idea and your great epiphany seems better to you than the advice of your father and your forefathers. Because right now all you see is the positive angle. So you came up with a new idea, that's great. So you're all enamored with your new idea, and you just want to grab onto that, and you're not willing to hear, anybody else's ideas. But that's because you just see the immediate benefit. But the potential damage that can come from this down the line, that you don't see. You're too young. You're too naive. You just haven't thought it through. So since with your limited intellect and limited analysis, you just see the immediate positive of your argument, and you don't see the mistake that's inherent within it, and the damage that will ultimately result from it. So it seems that your argument is better than theirs, but it's just because, again, you're coming at it from such a limited perspective. The wise man already told us, don't tread upon the boundaries of the world that your fathers have made for you. They were very wise and they understood the world way better than you did. And don't just sort of knock down all of their guidelines that they have set for you and just sort of plow them down like some bulldozer just coming and knocking everything that our ancestors did for us. Don't you dare fall into that trap. V'nemar Mishlei says, Shema b'ni musar vicha. Listen, my son, to the instruction of your father. V'nemar amisha matel dofi. And it says in Mishlei about those people who denigrate the minhagim of their fathers. Dor avivik halel. Okay, the generation of your father you curse. Dar tar be'inov metzasa loy ruchatz. Okay, it appears in your eyes that you're clean, but from your dirt, from your excrement, you'll not be able to wash yourself off. You'll not get clean. If you have that perspective that you're smarter than the early generations, you're gonna have dirt and garbage all over you, and you'll not be able to clean yourself from it. Furthermore, he says, "V'nemar ayin tilag la'av v'tavuz l'kyas aim." Okay, if somebody who has the eye who shames the father and puts all the accomplishments of the mother in a very shameful way, so you don't again appreciate your past, yikruha or ve'nochav yachlu b'nei nosher. You will be open to the ravens. The eagles will eat you, and you'll be just fodder for You'll be spiritually destroyed. That's what happens. So it is very critical to not allow, even though again that's a fine line we have to walk. We have to be intellectual beings. We have to obviously use our minds, but we have to use it from the point of view of humility and a sense of perspective of who we are.
I don't know if Rabbi Stulberger remembers the story, but when I was working with the Federation, it must have been around 2000, the rabbi who was at Sinai, I think it was, came out with a whole article in the Jewish Journal about the fact that Pesach couldn't really happen. There wasn't really Yatzer Mitzrayim.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely.
archaeological facts.
Right.
Shortly thereafter, he had a massive brain tumor. Shortly thereafter.
Yeah.
He was very, very ill and had a massive brain tumor. I remember when I was working with the Federation.
Yeah, it was a famous article, and he's still
doing the same awful stuff.
well. I mean, he's still living that down. I mean, he hasn't really been able to overcome that. That article. It's been
not so
He
easy
said
to
that
forget.
no, but what got me was that like the reading that that it can be your illness.
right. That's right.
He basically came out with an article saying that Yatzias Mitzrayim never happened because we don't have archaeological proof.
Yeah.
And I remember coworkers, non-religious coworkers, coming up to me and saying, "How can he say something like this?"
Yeah. Very true.
That's how we can say something,
Okay, so Bez Hashem, I guess we'll pick it up from here.
Next week.
No, can't be
No.
next. Yeah, next
4
week.
weeks in